Hi everybody, Adam here. Today I am going to be cooking a Pakistani chicken karahi following a recipe from Ethan Chlebowski. We just call him Chlebowski in this household, big emphasis on the ch. I don't know why, that is just the joke that we came up with and it stuck. The app that you are seeing right now is called Macro Factor. I highly recommend it. It is the anti-diet app. It is great for calculating your macros, staying on your goals with minimal stress and worry, no shaming, and no requirement that you actually comply to its recommendations. You can copy and paste a recipe into it just like I just did, and it will pop out the macros for you in minutes. It also adjusts your macros weekly based on the data you give it, and gets more and more accurate over time, meaning that it is actually tailoring your macros to you, unlike most diet apps which rely on more generic recommendations. This is me trying something a little bit different this week. It got, just hard to film all of the Himbo Chef videos because they were a higher production value thing in terms of the amount of effort that we needed to put into them. It is something where I needed Elizabeth's help to do the filming, to get the camera set up, to get the kitchen set up just the exact way that we wanted. And our schedules don't always line up the way we'd like. And of course, we live in London where, for a solid 6 months out of the year, the sun does not come out nearly enough to keep our kitchen very well lit. And that really shrinks the window of filming and just further complicates, lining everything up and being able to actually do a nice, long, big cook. And so that creates a lot of stress, that creates a lot of potential worries. And of course I wanted to be getting back to doing cooking videos, but it's just been something where I've been busy, Elizabeth has been busy, we've had a hard time doing it. So I decided to do something a bit lower stress, a bit more chill, something where I don't have to perform or talk on the spot. I can just vibe and cook and get some footage and show you the results. This is a recipe that I've wanted to cook for a while, and a huge part of the reason for that is just that I have been in a cut, so I have been losing weight, leaning out, and that means that I have had not a ton of extra calories available, and I've always been on the lookout for just the highest protein recipes that I can. I'm always looking for high protein recipes because, basically at this point, a lot of my diet has to revolve around good high protein recipes. I don't have as much space, to just kind of eat fun foods. And so this is something where it is a fun food, it is delicious, but it's also, pretty macro friendly, and that's something I appreciate. It basically ticks all the right boxes. Chicken karahi is a spicy dish. It is made out of chicken thighs, various spices, a bit of ginger, a bit of garlic, and a sauce that's based on tomatoes. And so it really does not add a ton of extra carbs or anything like that. And it is pretty protein forward. And it's also not just bland, boring chicken breast, and that is amazing. It is Easter weekend, and I decided to do all of this last night on an impulse. I had really no plan to do this. I had no idea, what I was going to eat. It was just something where I knew that I was going to have a meal today where, it wasn't going to be planned. No one else was really going to be around. And I was just like, okay, what can I cook? What can I make for myself? What can I do that's a little bit special? And I considered, maybe just, doing some kind of delivery. But ultimately I said, you know what, I will cook. I will cook something and I will film it and I will turn it into a video for all of you. So I am pretty happy with the results. I went out to the store this morning to buy the ingredients. Already had most of them in the cabinet. And I also picked up some flowers for Elizabeth while I was at it, because it is spring and you should always have flowers around for your wife. This recipe is also surprisingly easy to prepare. I certainly accidentally overdid it a little bit on the oil, so I got a slightly greasier cook than I was expecting. And in the future, making this recipe again, I would probably be a little bit more careful on the oil, especially because if you're using chicken thighs as your primary meat, you're going to get a decent amount of fat coming out of the meat, and that's going to contribute quite a bit to what ends up in the pan. But I did go really heavy on the spices. One thing I appreciated about the recipe is that they were just kind of like, yeah, you can just, go a little bit off on the spices if you want, that's fine. And so I did not stick to really strict measurements. I just kind of eyeballed it a bit on the spices, went a bit heavy, and I was pretty pleased with the result because I got, just the right kind of delicious taste that I was looking for. I also ended up adding a little bit of extra garlic in as well because I just love myself some garlic. It was also something where I ended up skipping the chilies that you are supposed to add to this recipe, and I wish that I could say that there was a really genius reason for that, but that's not true. The truth is that I went to the store this morning and I actually couldn't find the chilies. I'm not sure if that was my fault or if they were sold out or something like that. I don't know. I just had a bit of a himbo moment, and I went to the first store and I said, well, I know I could go to another store and get myself some chilies somewhere if I am willing to look around for a bit, but I just did not feel like doing that, so I didn't. I just skipped it entirely, and it actually turned out just fine in the end. I don't think the dish really needed the extra spice. It was plenty spicy from all the other spices that I had tossed into it. It was just the right level of heat, and so I didn't need it. I was fine without it, so. This recipe took about 35 minutes to cook, and you're basically seeing the entirety of the cooking process from, complete start to finish. Obviously I sped it up 2x, and I trimmed a few bits here and there, but that's really it. Like, you're seeing the entirety of the cooking process from start to finish, minus, I guess, maybe a couple minutes that I spent just getting out the various ingredients and getting them all set up and all that. It is a really simple cooking process. You basically just take your chicken thighs and you cook them in the wok with some oil, you add some tomatoes, you let it cook for a bit, you add your ginger, you add your garlic. Garlic is the word that I'm looking for. And then you add your spices, and when you're done, you would typically serve this with some kind of carb. So you would serve this with a rice or a roti or a bread or something like that. But I opted not to, simply because, again, I'm in a cut. I do not have a lot of space for extra carbs, so I just had it on its own. I didn't have a ton of spare calories today. This This was supposed to be kind of more of a dinner for me today, actually, but I figured, okay, well, I'm going to be filming it around lunchtime so that I can take advantage of the sunlight, and then I really just couldn't wait. I just ended up eating the whole thing, so it didn't really make it to dinner, let's say. I would also say that in the future, some more ideas for how to prepare this dish. I would say that you probably don't necessarily need to do the chicken thighs. You really could cook, just a chicken breast instead if you wanted something a little bit lighter, a little bit leaner. And I certainly, again, overdid it a bit on the oil, so I certainly didn't need, the chicken thighs this time around. But it is what it is. I would also say that in the future, I would probably do more meat than is recommended. The recommendation for the recipe is 1 pound of chicken thighs, but I would probably do something like 2 pounds, maybe even 3 pounds of chicken breast if I was cooking this in the future, partly because I am a person who eats a lot, and so I like to have quite a lot of food, but also partly because, say for example, I'm cooking for the family, we may be more of a 3 pounds of chicken, 4 pounds of chicken situation. I have been really enjoying this format. It is something where obviously it's a little bit less reliant on me doing a performance in front of a camera. It feels a lot more natural. I'm just vibing. I'm actually just listening to an audiobook today. I'm listening to The Second Sex, a great audiobook, so check that out. But yeah, this format is cool because it is a bit more reliant on stuff like videography. It is a bit more reliant on stuff like writing, which I am, decently good at. Did a blog for 10 years, have a degree in English and philosophy, and of course, it's like, hey, this voiceover, well, it's a lot more scripted than what you would see when I'm in front of the camera and just performing. And I kind of enjoy that. It gives me a chance to get a bit better at my editing skills. It gives me a chance to kind of take things more slowly and focus on getting things right. And I feel a lot more comfortable and a lot less anxious this way. So I did try a lot of new stuff for this video, and I really hope that you like the result. So if you did like this video, as always, don't hesitate to smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment down below. Let me know how you feel about this format. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Let me know if you have any good ideas for recipes I should try. Whether that is something for a video or you're just, hey, here's a really good high protein recipe that I think that you should try while you're on your cut. I'd be really excited to hear from you. And of course, I am always excited, always on the lookout for more high protein recipes, so that I am not just eating the classic bodybuilder, dry chicken breast and broccoli and nothing else. Today, this is a recipe that just really hit the spot in terms of, having a lot of flavor, but also having really good macros. If you're interested in using the Macro Factor app from the beginning, you can find it at your local app store, or I've included a link below. You can sign up and get a 1-week free trial, or you can get a 2-week free trial if you sign up and use the code SBS, which, again, who doesn't like free stuff? You can get that extra week and really try it for longer and see how the app works for you. I've also included a link to Ethan Chlebowski's recipe below, and of course, big shout out to Ethan for this recipe. It is really good, it's delicious. So, hey himbos, hey bimbos, hey thembos, have a great Easter weekend. I will see you all next week.